to review the GPS process, which is an essential component of this, okay? Because it is my experience that if you don't have a system, you will lose focus over time, okay? And without encroaching too much on your time, I get you here once every 90 days to do this. And one of the first things we do when we get here is to review the process itself, the GPS process, right? And this is what we're going to be doing in the first half. Then we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back and do today's core financial insight. The GPS process is really just a framework, okay? It's the guide, the outline, the boundaries. And built into that are 20 core financial insights that everybody should know, because whatever your area of expertise, whether you are in health or in IT or education or entertainment or in the ministry, whatever your area of expertise is, all of us can know a lot about a little, but we cannot know a lot about a lot, okay? But the thing about money and finances is it affects all of us. Okay? From the minute we get up in the morning, it affects us. And sooner or later, you're going to be in a position where you have to make a financial decision. And usually that happens at a time when you really are not sure. Okay? So what these workshops are meant to do is to empower you, okay? So that at least, okay, not to become a financial expert, at least you have enough tools to ask the right questions, okay? And to stay away from the pitfalls, right? So these 20 core financial insights are the ones that I've identified that I think you should have a sense of, have an inkling of, okay? Whatever your field of expertise, so that you can at least navigate and guide yourself. And with the GPS process, which is a lifelong process, right? So that you don't lose focus over this. And if you stay true to it, you will become financially free. You will avoid financial hardships. You will attain financial freedom. And the other thing that we want to help you do is to build eternal treasures, okay? Because we're not about building treasures here on earth, all right? Okay, once that's done, we'll talk about the action steps for the next 90 days, which is another critical component of this. Because if you're going to come here, if you're going to listen to this, and if you don't implement what you've learned, then nothing's going to happen, okay? We're not moving forward, all right? It's just theory, okay? So the action steps that you need to do. There'll be a question and answer session, and then I'll finish off with some closing remarks, and then there'll be a feedback and survey. My unique ability, two things you need to know about me. The first thing is my unique ability. There's only one thing I do well, which is to get in front of people, individuals, couples, groups of people, and make people's financial future very clear to them. Because it seems to me there is a gap between where people are and where people want to be financially. And that gap is the source and cause of all their financial stress, okay? And unless they do something to bridge, narrow, or eliminate that gap, it's going to stay with them for the rest of their lives, throughout their lives. And my suspicion is it's only going to get worse over time, okay? Which leads me into the second part of my unique ability, which is to help people eliminate that gap, okay? To as little as possible, possibly even eliminate it, okay? And I do that by giving them a clear financial direction in the form of a financial goal, by giving them a step-by-step process in the form of a financial plan, and most importantly, by giving them a system to stay focused on the goal and on the plan. Because if any of these components are missing, then it's just, we're neither here nor there, all right? So that's my unique ability. Besides that, I don't do anything else well. I'm mediocre in everything else. What differentiates me from every other financial advisor out there are also two things. The first is that the GPS process is based on 5 biblical principles, which I'm going to explain to you. And the second is, going forward, I will not do business with anyone who's not committed to the GPS process, because it's neither here nor there. It's bits and pieces, and I don't want to work that way, okay? I need a commitment to the GPS process. It's a lifelong process. You stay focused on it, and I'll help you get to the finish line. All right? Okay, the GPS process. Like I said, it's a unique, biblically based system to avoid financial hardships, to attain financial freedom, and to build eternal treasures. Unique because when I was at this juncture trying to bring biblical principles into what the work I do, I looked out at what was on the landscape, financial advisors who were out there, and I did find some in the US and here, but I wasn't completely comfortable with everything that they were doing. I just couldn't take it wholesale, right? So I took bits and pieces here and there and added my own, what I was comfortable with, and came up with this. Hence, this is what makes this unique, okay? It's a biblically based system, okay? In the next slide, I'll show you what the 5 biblical principles are. And it's going to do 3 things for you. It's going to help you avoid financial hardships. It's going to help you attain financial freedom, and we'll define what those things are. And it'll help you build eternal treasures, okay, through the unique estate planning that we have, where, you know, when you slip into eternity, you can bring your investments. The best investment for eternity, okay, is to build treasures in heaven, because you'll take it with you forever, right, versus leaving it here. So what are the 5 biblical principles that the GPS process is based on? The first is that we're not stewards. We are stewards, not owners, of all the resources that we have. It comes from the parable of the talents in Matthew 25, where in verse 14 it says this, "Again, it'll be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his property to them," right? So everything that we have, all the resources that we have, time, money, energy, it all belongs to the Lord, okay? The second thing is that we're going to be held accountable. Now, many verses speak to that, but I'll pick the one from Matthew 25:19, which says that after a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. So there's going to be an accounting. Okay? Whether you got 5 talents during your sojourn here on this planet, or 2 talents or 1 talent, at the end of the day, the master is going to ask for an accounting. Okay? So let's be aware of that. The third thing is that we want to be completely debt-free, which is biblical and which is counterculture and contrarian. Okay? Financial services community out there makes money from your borrowing money. So we don't want to go that route. Okay? We just don't do that. If we are in debt, we're going to show you how to get out of debt. And then through emergency funds, we're going to show you how to stay out of debt for the rest of your life. Okay? The time will work for you if you have investments. Time will work against you if you have debts, because you're paying someone else interest. You follow? So we want to be completely debt-free, the third one. The fourth principle is that we want to live within our means. Okay? This, I don't know why people think that, you can make $1 and spend $2 and keep doing this ad infinitum. Okay? That's going to be a day of reckoning, and it just cannot go on forever, and we see this happening. So the lesson that I took from that comes from Genesis 41, the story of Pharaoh, where Pharaoh had 2 dreams in the same night, 7 cows, 7 stalks of grain, you remember? And then Joseph comes along and interprets the dream for him, saying that those 2 dreams are one and the same. Okay? The land of Egypt is going to have 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine. So he asked Pharaoh, "Joseph, what should I do?" And in verse 34, Joseph tells him, "Take 1/5 from the years of abundance and keep it in reserve," in verse 36, "for the years of famine that are to follow." Right? 1/5 is 20%. Okay? So I say, if the takeaway lesson there is this: if God counsels Pharaoh, right, 3,500 years ago, at a time of potential crisis in Egypt, to live within 80% of its income at the national level, where do we come off in 2012 at the individual level, at the corporate level, at the national level, to be living on 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000% of our incomes because of the ready availability of credit? So many of the financial problems that we've had that are still unfolding have to do with this overextension of debt, okay? Of living beyond our means. Right? So we want to get away from that. And the last principle is that we are to build eternal treasures. Jesus said in Matthew 6:19-21, "Don't build for yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal." Okay? Build for yourselves treasures in heaven where moth and rust do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. So what we want to, the mental shift that we want to make is, the best investment for eternity are eternal treasures. And how do you build eternal treasures? By giving it away to the poor. Okay? And that's how you do it. Without compromising your own lifestyle. You're not a good testimony if you cannot pay your bills. You're not a good testimony, if you're debt-ridden, right? You want to clean all of that up, and beyond that, we want to build eternal treasures. Be able in a position where we can give as much away as possible. All right? So those are the 5 biblical principles. Where did the GPS process come from? It came from this. When I used the GPS, I thought it was a great metaphor for what it is I'm trying to do. Okay? If you don't know where you're going, or how to get to where you want to go, even if you know where you want to go but you don't know how to get there, especially in unfamiliar foreign territory, the best thing to do is to use the GPS. If you send me to Kampala, Uganda, is it Kampala, the capital, right? And give me the address of Watoto, I wouldn't know how to get there. But if I land at the airport, I'll get a GPS, punch in the address, just follow the instructions. And, I may not get that in the shortest time possible, but I'll get there. I won't be going in circles during my stay there. You follow? So you don't want to spend a lifetime going in circles, let's get there as quickly as possible. So I thought it was a good illustration for most people, because for most people, most lay people, right, managing money and building wealth is a complete foreign territory. Today you're going to get a glimpse of it, because we're going to talk the core financial insight we're going to talk about, which I'm just going to scratch the surface off on stock investing. You'll see how complicated it gets. Okay? And there's so many moving parts, and it's hard to put a finger to it. But nonetheless, we still have to do it because we are affected by it. All right? So I thought it was a good illustration to help you, for most people, to help them get to where they want to go, okay? Especially in the area of finances. And I took it one step further. I'd even changed the acronyms GPS from Global Positioning System to a goal, a plan, and a system to stay focused on the goal and on the plan. All right? So let's talk about the goal first. When I ask people, if I were to ask 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 people here in this room, right? If I were to ask you, what does financial freedom mean to you? Each one of you will give me different answers, okay? And I've asked this question many times, and what I have found is there are some common threads, okay? And so what I did was I took those common threads and made sure there was a comprehensive definition, okay? And with this definition of financial freedom, you cannot look me in the eye and tell me you're financially free if any one of these 5 pieces are missing, right? So the first one is this, that we should be tithing as you should, okay? Now, tithing, a tithe is 10%, okay? Now, we do a whole session on tithing, okay? But make sure, first things first, that you're tithing, okay? And without becoming complicated, 10% of gross income goes to your local church, right? We'll get into, we can get into the details in the tithing session, but just leave it at that, okay? 10%. And if you did that, God will honor you. I was at a lunch and learn workshop yesterday. I also do this for a group of 300 government employees. And when I accepted that assignment to do those lunch and learns, I was told that I have to strip religion out of it because it's a secular environment. So everything had to be toned down. So when I do this, the essence doesn't change. I just have to change a few words here and there. So when I came to this, I put giving instead of tithing. I said, giving as you should. And because it was a secular audience, I said, look, you have to give, right? I cannot explain to you why that when you give, you'll get more, but try it. Right? But we know why, right? Because God says, you honor me and I'll honor you, okay? And so the first thing you need to do is make sure that you're tithing. If that issue is not resolved, make sure it's resolved. Okay? And then God says in Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, test me in this and see if I'll not open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you will not have room enough for it. All right? Second thing is to make sure that you're optimally insured. This is an area where a lot of people have sort of, neglected. Okay? And there are reasons for that. One of them is that insurances are always oversold. Okay, they're always, high pressure selling insurance, and people sort of, And the other reason is people tend to relegate that responsibility to the government, to the employers, thinking that, it's taken care of. And the third reason is they hope that it doesn't happen to them. This is something that happens to other people. Hopefully it doesn't happen to them. But I'm here to tell you that you shouldn't do that because the numbers are not in your favor, okay? There's a 99% chance that you're going to die a physical death unless the Lord comes back when everything is academic. There's a 1 in 3 chance that you're going to get cancer. There's 1 in 4 chance that you're going to have a heart problem. There's a 1 in 5 chance that you're going to get a stroke. Okay? Those are the biggies, right? So don't bury your head in the sand. Make sure you're optimally insured for life and health insurance. As far as property insurance is concerned, home and car insurance, you don't have a choice. You're not going to be able to drive without car insurance, and your mortgagees won't let you get away without having property insurance, okay? But this one here tends to be neglected because there's no compulsion to buy it, okay? But make sure you're optimally insured. Optimal means not over, not under, but enough to maintain your lifestyle and the lifestyle for the people who are dependent on you, all right? The third thing is to become completely debt-free. Make this intentional. If you have no intention of becoming debt-free, you'll never be debt-free, right? Fourth one is to make sure you have an emergency fund of 6 months. This is what will keep you out of debt. Because as long as there's wear and tear of man and machine, there will be emergencies. Your teeth will go, your health will go, your car will go, your house will go, right? And finally, build investments and keep investing, and stay frugal until you have a portfolio of up to $10 million. Now, sometimes when I put this up and people see this for the first time and 10 million, whoa, it's like saying, I want to be healthy, okay? It's going to be a continual work in progress. Will you ever be perfectly healthy? Maybe, maybe not, okay? But stop doing what you're doing and you're sliding backwards, okay? Same idea here. For some people, this is very doable. Okay? If you've got a high source of income, specialist physicians that I deal with make more than $400,000 a year. Many of them, by the time they get operational, they're just in their mid-30s. Okay? Lots of time to go, lots of money there. Okay? And they've got very little overhead. Okay? Biggest issue they deal with is taxes. So take care of that, and you've got, a possibility of that happening. Successful business owners. Okay? There's 1,700 billionaires in the world. I mean, talk about 10 million. They've got over $1 billion, right? So some people it's possible, some it's not, but that's not the point, okay? The point is this. Whoever you are, when you have to hang up your shoes because of age, because of health, or by choice, if you don't have $10 million and you only have $5 million, is that so bad? Only have 1 million, is that so bad? Only have a couple $100,000, is that so bad? Isn't that better than still being in debt or being broke at a time when you've run out of options? All right? Okay, so that's the goal. It's great to have a goal, but if you have a goal, but if you don't have a plan to get to the goal, you're not going to get there. Okay, so I came up with a plan, and the plan, I call it the 10 steps to financial freedom. And all I did was I took those 5 ingredients of financial freedom, and I broke them into 2 steps each. Okay? Now, these steps, great. These steps are like the rung of a ladder. Okay, you have to, steps of a ladder. If you miss one step, you're not going forward. Okay, if one of those steps is broken, okay, you're just moving back. Okay, so make sure that, when I was putting this together, there was a lot of agony going, which one should come first, and all of that. And over time, I have found that. Simplistic and ridiculous as some of these steps might seem, you cannot violate them, okay? Because if you violate them, then you're not moving forward, all right? So very briefly, just going to put that, I'm going to be very careful here so that I don't get past step number 10. Okay. So the first thing you do is make sure you're tithing. And like I said, if that's not resolved, get that resolved. Take some time out in prayer. Speak to your spiritual leaders, your pastors, mentors, whoever. Get that resolved. Get that behind you, okay? Second thing is make sure you're minimally insured. Take your head out of the sand. Pull out your life insurance policies that you have, your health policies, your group policies. Ask the what-if question. What if I don't make it home? what happens? Are there any gaps? And address those gaps as best as you can. And ask the other question, what if I get up tomorrow morning and I cannot go to work? What happens then? Okay? What is coming in? What's needed? And if there are gaps, address those gaps as best as you can. That's what step number 2 is. Step number 3 is go to your friendly financial institution, open a savings account, tell them to make it a tax-free savings account, and with every spare dollar that you have at that stage, put it in there and make sure you build it up to $1,000. That's your mini emergency fund. We're trying to change a life direction here. It begins with thinking. Okay? Change your thinking, you will change your behavior, you'll change your attitude, then you'll change your life. Okay? But it begins there, right? Small as this step is, the next time you have an emergency means food, shelter, transportation, clothing, things that you cannot live without, not once, okay? You are not going to yank out your credit card or lines of credit that most people resort to, because we are going in a different direction, and it begins here. Next time you have an emergency, as soon as you've got $1,000 of emergency fund, that's where it comes out of. So you have a minor car breakdown, easily you'll run into $1,500, $2,000. I have a smart car, and I have to go and get it serviced at Mercedes-Benz, right? Because they are the dealers. It's a funny thing about Mercedes-Benz. It's never under $200, no matter what you go there for. It always starts at $200. Like, it's crazy. But, it happens. So, those of us, transportation costs, like, it's a wear and tear thing, right? It's always going to be there. And easily, the bill could go over $1,000. And if it does, that first 1,000 comes from there, okay? And then you go back and replenish it. Okay, we're going to just keep moving forward, all right? It's very fluid, this whole process. Step number 4 is to begin the process of getting out of debt through the reverse debt snowball, okay? Now, we do one whole session on that, the reverse debt snowball, but because debt is so pervasive, and I just want to make sure that, this is repetitive as it is, that, it's illustrated, okay? What you do there is you take all of your debt instruments, including your mortgage, list them in descending order of interest rates, later statements, okay? And then you take 4 columns and you list them in 4 columns like this. And I'm going to do a very simple illustration, and you take this and apply it to your own situation. Can everyone see this? Can you all see this? Okay. Now the concept reverse debt snowball came from the idea of a snowball, because all of us accumulate debt the same way. Okay? We start out with a credit card of $500, and then we go and take a car loan of $30,000, and you take a mortgage of $300,000, and then your friendly banker comes along, purporting to be your best friend, and gives you another line of credit of $50,000, and before you know it, okay, you've got a mountain of debt, right? And what we are saying here is, stop, let's reverse that. Reverse that process until it's back to 0, okay? Hence the name, the reverse debt snowball. So what you do there is you take all of your debt instruments, first column payee, second column interest rate, third column minimum payment, fourth column the balance, right? And 4 things have to happen. Mentally, you must be prepared for 4 things. One is these balances have to be frozen. Okay? These balances that are here. So let's use an example here. Let's say this fellow has a Visa, 19.99%, minimum payment 100, and the balance is 2,000. He's got a MasterCard, 18%, minimum payment 100, balance 2,000. He's got a car loan, 7%, payment $400 a month, and balance 20,000. Okay. The first mind change that you have to do is these balances have to be frozen. You cannot add another dollar to this, otherwise this will not work. Okay. So for things that are revolving, like MasterCard, Visa, plastic, take it and put it in your freezer. Freeze it. Take it out of your wallet, so that you can't use it. There's no more instant gratification. Okay. Going forward, if we want things, we're going to save for it. Okay. And if we cannot, it's something we cannot live without, we have to work around it. But there's no more adding balances here, right? Second thing is that There's got to be skin in the game. The minimum, maximum, highest minimum payment, the highest minimum payment has to be doubled. There's got to be skin in the game, because if it's too easy to get in, it's too easy to get out, okay? If there's no pain, why would you do it? There's no motivation to do it, right? So you've got to get engaged here, okay? And the way you get engaged is the minimum payment that is required, the highest minimum payment there, $100, this one here, you double it to $200. Okay, you're engaging now, okay? And where you're going to find the extra $100? The same way you would find the extra $100 if it was something that gives you pleasure, right? You would find it. Find it, because we are going in a different direction here, because there's a goal at the end that you want to get to. All right, so second thing is you double. The third thing is that the total payments cannot change over time. Total payments have to remain the same throughout this whole process. So the total payments here, $200, $300, $700. Throughout this whole reverse that snowball process, that cannot change. Okay? And the last one is, as things get paid off, you got to cancel. Okay? Now, once this individual has got these four things clear in his head, I have to freeze my balances, I have to double the minimum payment, total payments cannot change, and as things get paid off, I have to pay them, he's ready to begin the process. So he begins the process. So, first month, he's got a $2,000 balance, he's paying $200 on this. In theory, 2,000 divided by 200, in 10 months it'll be gone, right? But because there's interest, that's going to take 11 months. Now, if you use an amortization table, if you just Google amortization table, and you'll find a whole slew of them, find one that you're comfortable with, plug in the numbers, and it'll give you a spreadsheet. Okay? It will tell you within the accuracy of a month how long it'll take for that debt to clear with those numbers, all right? So in this case, the visa will be paid in 11 months. During those 11 months, then immediately we take, because this cannot change, we take the $200 and add it to this one here. So now this payment becomes $300, right? During the 11 months when we were paying the visa, we were also paying $100 on the MasterCard. So the MasterCard balance, because we weren't adding to the balances, it was frozen, should have gone down by $1,100, 11 months, $100 a month. But did it go down by $1,100? Not really, because of interest. So instead of going down by $1,100, let's say it went down by $1,000. So on its own, it went down to $1,000. So now we begin month number 12 with only 2 left, okay, because this took 11 months, this is paid off. And on the MasterCard, we've got a $1,000 balance, we've got a $300 payment. In theory, 3 1/3 months, it's gone, right? But because of interest, instead of 3 1/3 months, let's say it took 5 months. So in 5 months, this is gone. Then I take my $300, add to my $400, this payment now becomes $700, because bottom line cannot change, it has to remain the same. Money's got legs. If you don't allocate it, it just goes out of the window, right? So now I begin month number 15, 16, month number 17. Now during this 16 months that I was paying this, I was also paying $400 on this. 16 months by $400 is $6,400. So this should have gone down by $6,400, but did it? Not really, because of interest, right? So instead of going down by $6,400, let's say it went down by $5,500. So I've got $14,500 left here, right? And now I begin month number 16 months, and these two are paid off. So month number 17th, I begin with a $14,500 balance. I'm paying $700 a month. In theory, in about 20 months, this is gone. But did it take 20 months? No. Because of interest, it's going to take about, let's say, 24 months, right? So this individual, 24 plus 16, about what? 40 months, 3.5 years. If this guy stays focused in doing this, when all of his friends and all of his relatives, they're going on trips, they're buying plasma TVs, they're going shopping, and he has to, has no instant gratification. It sucks, right? But at the end of 3.5 years, okay, he's like a hero. He's completely consumer debt free. Imagine, okay? Now, look at the alternative. Let's say if he didn't do this, if he does what the masses are doing, okay? My suspicion is in 3.5 years, this situation has got aggravated, okay? And not only that, I suspect that he'd end up with more debt instruments. Because if you're paying your bills on time, if you've got a good source of income, they love you. They just want to give you more and more and more and, you know, play to your weaknesses, okay? So let's not play their game, right? Let's be aware of this. Take this, apply it to your own situation, and make sure you do this. Now, once you've done that, okay. Now, this individual's case, for instance, he's got $700 free, okay. So immediately he goes to step number 5, where now he, you know, in step number 2, where the insurance we did minimally only because we didn't have the money, the cash flow was an issue. Now he comes here and he maxes it out. Now, not over. Just enough, right? It shouldn't eat up all of the $700 or whatever the freed up cash flow is. And then the next step is to max out the emergency funds, and then max out the tax shelters, and then pay off the mortgage. Now, paying off the mortgage, most people who have a mortgage don't even know what the prepayment privileges are. Okay, why? There's never enough money to pay it. Not you. If you do this, you will get there, right? And when you get there, what you do is you pull out your mortgage and become familiar with all the prepayment privileges. Usually they have a doubling period that you can do, the periodic payment, you can pay anniversary. Now you've got the cash flow to do it, okay? And this is where you do it, get rid of the mortgage as quickly as possible. Once you've done that, take stock, okay? If you clear step number 8, the day you burn your mortgage, you pay off your mortgage, right? You just take stock, however long it takes you, and it could take you anywhere from 6 months to 10 years, depending on how deep you are in debt here, because this is the one that'll you know, that could really hold you up, right? And when you get there, take stock, look back now, whether it took you 6 months or 10 years, right? You got a layer of insurance to protect you in case you don't make it home or you get up and you cannot get to work. You got a 6-month emergency fund, okay? To address emergencies, and you're completely debt-free. Okay, like an athlete or somebody who's decided to take care of themselves physically, momentum is motivates. Okay, once you've got momentum, all we are asking you going forward is to invest with 15% of your income, right? But chances are you'll be doing more, and because you are there and you're motivated, the acceleration is going to go even faster. All right. And then, going forward, all you're going to be doing is, whatever the Lord puts on your radar, give it away without compromising on your lifestyle. I'll show you very shortly that if you can build it to $10 million, the war chest that we show you where to invest the $10 million in gives you 3.25% guaranteed, tax-free. Okay? 3.25% on $10 million is $325,000 tax-free a year. That's like $30,000 a month a year. Okay? Most people I know, don't need more than $3,000 to $5,000 a month to live if you have no debt and if you're being reasonable, right? Comfortably, I'm saying. And with $30,000 coming in a month, you can give 90% away. So this is not far-fetched. Okay, if you're willing to do this, this is doable. All right. Okay. Another way to show this, coming at it at a different angle. Okay, before I do that, the system, you've got a goal, that's the plan. So now, it's fine to have a goal, a plan. This won't work if you don't have a system to stay focused on the goal and the plan. And the system is to meet for 2 hours every 90 days, privately or publicly, where we take 20% of your income from Genesis 41, okay, and cycle and recycle it to steps 2 to 9 of the 10 steps to financial freedom. Why 2 hours? Because 2 hours is 2 hours every 90 days is 8 hours out of 8,760 hours a year. Okay? If you take 24 hours a day, multiply by 7 days a week by 365 days, you get 8,760 hours. So if I ask you 2 hours every 90 days, I'm asking you 8 hours out of 8,760 hours. I don't think there's a big encroachment on your time. Okay? And if this is important to you, you will invest the time. Why 90 days? Because 90 days is long enough. Coming back to the 2 hours, why do I need 2 hours? Because I don't want to gloss over these things. Okay? We need to take the time to take one idea and sort of dwell on it, okay? and let me expound on it and then move on to the next one, instead of just glossing and scratching the surface each time. Okay, go into a bit of depth. It takes me 1 hour to do that, and the first hour, like I said, to stay focused is to review the GPS process. 90 days, because 90 days is long enough for you to process what you learn here and hopefully implement it. But 90 days is not long enough for you to lose total focus. Okay? Take the next 90 days. A lot is going to happen in the next 90 days, the holidays, right? Your head is going to spin and all of that, but just when all the festivities are over, second week of January, I get you back in here and we'll talk about this again. Okay? So 90 days is not long enough for you to lose total focus, because if we just do this on a weekly seminar for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and I don't see you for 15 years, it's all gone. Okay? All right. 20% is we can meet privately. This is a public meeting. I do meet with people privately too. Those who don't want to come here or cannot come here for whatever reason and are willing to pay me for my time, sure, I'll meet you privately. We'll do the same thing, right? And 20% of your income. Okay, another way of looking at it, just to another perspective, that distribution of the 20% of the income. So you take 20% of your gross income, take 5%, put it into insurance until you're optimally insured for life and for health. And by health, I mean disability, critical illness, long-term care, and dental and medical. Okay? Yesterday I was with a client who I had to commend, because 2-3 years ago I met them, and whatever space they were in, they listened to me and they trusted me. And as I showed them this, I really had to commend them, because everything there they did. Okay? Putting out a lot of money per month, but they did it. Okay? And it's a great place to be, because it's a non-issue now for them. Okay? And because of their ages, sometimes it's not a matter of, once you even understand, okay, you buy into that, you need to get this, sometimes you can't get it because of your own health issues. And they were like on the cusp of that. So just got in, okay? Just a good place to be. Then you take 15% of the 20% of income and get rid of your debts, okay? Through steps 3 to steps 4 and 8, okay? Until you're completely debt-free. No more debts. As soon as that happens, you recycle the same 15% into savings. And you keep doing that until you have a 6-month emergency fund. And the 6-month emergency fund, where do you put it? You're going to get rid of these credit cards, okay? Because this is going to become history. Now, I forgot to tell you that this fellow, as the Visa got paid, he's going to yank it out of his freezer, call up Visa and cancel it, okay? Because there's a danger in having holes around. Okay, you might say, "Oh, there's no problem. The hole is now. I'm already out of the hole, and I won't fall into it again." No, that's not true. In unguarded moments, you will fall back in. Okay, so but if you close up that hole, right? Even in a stupor, you won't fall into it. There's no hole to fall into. Okay, so once you pay off the credit cards, get rid of them. Their history, and what do we do for workaround? In our world, the world is such that you cannot rent a vehicle without a credit card. Okay? So the workaround are these prepaid cards. Now, if you go to bmo.com, under their credit card tab, a slew of credit cards, there's one called a BMO Prepaid Travel MasterCard. Get it. Okay? Works like a gift card, a TIM card. Load money on it. You can load $2,500 on this. Okay? Most of the major banks have now come up with Visa debit. I think Royal has it, CIBC has it. Walk into any of your financial institutions that you deal with, set up a basic checking account, tell them that you want a Visa debit attached to that account. Okay? And what you need to do is load 1 month's worth of what you need on a monthly basis onto that Visa card. Now, in front of you, there is a monthly budget sheet. Okay? We tried to cover every possible expense category that could be there. Put numbers on the items that apply to you and keep a subtotal and keep a running total. When you come to the end, it'll tell you what you need at this point on a monthly basis, okay? 6 times that is what we're talking about you should have. You should start building. 1 month in a prepaid MasterCard, 1 month in a Visa debit, and 4 months in the TFSA account. Okay? Now you're ready for emergencies. Okay? You won't get knots in your stomach or worried about where the money is going to come from. Once you've got a 6-month emergency fund, and that's quite a substantial amount, because the average family out there, like I said, if you're very reasonable, you need at least $3,000 a month, family of 4. 6 times that is $18,000. Okay, some people live on double that. So 18,000, 36,000, a lot of money. Okay, but if you don't want too much money idle, But at the same time, we want it to be liquid and accessible, because this is for emergencies. Okay? So emergencies don't give you any warning. They just show up, right? So you want to do that. As soon as that happens, we're going to take that 15%. Remember when I said when you get to step number 9, when you look back, you still got 15% to play with, okay, for investment. Okay, this is the average. For some people it will be more, some people will be less, but 15% is the average. You recycle the same 15% into investments, and the place we start is in an account called the Insured, Guaranteed, Tax-Free, Credit-to-Proof, Probate-Free account, which I call the war chest, okay, because it's protected on all sides, okay? And this is where we build, we plunk our money in, we build it, and the return on investment there is 3.25% after tax, okay? Safe place to be, okay? Today we're going to be talking about other things, and you'll see why this is preferable in many cases, okay? Because it's like, you know, take the illustration of a seashore, right? It's very safe by the shore, right? You want to go out and catch big fish and go out into deep waters, you can. But there's also the danger of drowning and being eaten up by sharks, right? It's quite safe in the shore. This is the shore, 3.25%, right? Now, you keep doing that until you've got a war chest of about $10 million. For most people, I was telling someone earlier on, I've been narrowing my niche market, and now it's got really narrowed, okay? It's very specifically the Christian community. I don't have much time, I know that, okay? I know I have only got, unlike most people who sort of aware that they've got a bit of, you know, they don't know, a lot of time left on this planet. I live that, I know that, okay? Because one of the things I do, one of the illustrations, I don't know if people have seen it, is the measuring tape illustration, right? And I mean, you know, no point talking, you got to walk the talk, right? So one of the things that I do, and unfortunately I don't think I brought it in today because it's Saturday. My tape, right, my portion of that tape, because I figure I'm going to live till age 70, and I'm like 27 now, not 40, 57. So I've got just this much left. Okay? So I remind myself every day as I pick up my keys, and I take that tape, and I've written Psalm 90:12 on it, which says this: teach us to number our days, so that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. In other words, remind me how little time that I have left, so that I use it wisely. Okay? So having said that, I've been narrowing my niche market to the Christian, wholeheartedly committed Christians. Okay? And for my niche market, if you are in my niche market, you don't need to go beyond this, because we've got more important things to do. Okay? Right? But for some people, it will become necessary because they're starting late, because they'll never get to 10 million. They need to boost this, okay? And this is what, you know, where we come into this, the return on investment, okay? Because they don't have enough there, and they want to make this bigger, so they might go into 3 other areas, okay? The first one, and again, when we do this, in Ecclesiastes 11:2, the Bible talks about diversification. It says, give portions to 7 and yes to 8, because you do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Okay? He's talking about don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversification. Okay? So in the war chest, most of us, 99% of us, don't have to go beyond that. But if we do have to go, okay, not more than 25% for these other things. Okay? We take 25% and we're going to put it in the stock market. And why would we do that? Okay? First thing, we're going to use a strategy called the rule number 1 strategy. We make that account a TFSA account, and we are shooting for a 15% return. Okay? And this is the substance of today's topic. This is where we start going into the deep waters. Okay? For some of you, it'll be interesting. For some of you, this will be way out there. It's of no interest, but you just need to know, enough to know, get a sense of it. Okay? Now, when you do that, that 15, the main reason we are doing it is 15. Now, unlike other investors who go into certain investments and they make money and they hope to make more, not us, okay? As soon as you make your 15%, you clean it up, clear it off the table and dump it back into the war chest, okay? We don't leave it in the market to be subject to the vagaries of market. And this is where the problem is. Make lots of money, then lose a lot of money. It's a roller coaster ride. You know, we don't want to get caught with that. Okay, we are very purpose driven here. As soon as we made our 15%, we dump it back in the war chest and look for the next opportunity. All right. Second thing we're going to do next session is show you how to invest in real estate. The real estate landscape is very broad. Okay, and I've sort of dabbled here and there. But the two that I think makes most sense that I'm going to be explaining is one is tax sales and the other one is foreclosures. Why? Because they are deep discount real estate. You're already buying way below market. What the market does is, you know, gravy, okay? But you're buying it at such a deep discount that you're already going to make your money. And we do it intentionally, hoping to get a return of investment of 30% before tax, because this cannot become a tax-free account. And even after you pay taxes at the highest tax rate, 50%, you still end up with 15% after tax, okay? And then 2 sessions from now, we're going to talk about the third way that you invest in businesses. The fastest way to make your money grow is through businesses, okay? Let me give you a microcosm of that. You have teenage kids or kids who are in junior high school. You know, if one summer you tell them, son, daughter, you know, this summer I don't want you to work. Okay, what a mom and dad are going to do is we're going to give you $200. Want you to open a lemonade stand, take it easy all summer. But during the hottest month, August, okay, go to some high traffic location, put up your lemonade stand, and all we want you to do is sell lemonades for that whole month, right, at the hottest month, and just one whole month. Okay. Do you think at the end of 1 month, your kids can come back and would have sold, let's say they sold lemonades at $1 per lemonade. Do you think they could have sold 300 lemonades? They would have, right, at the end of 1 month. So $200 investment, they would have come back to you at the end of one, reporting back to you. They say, Mom and Dad, you gave us $200. Here's what we collected, $300. Okay, that's minimum. Okay, so how much did they make? They made $100 on $200, right? $100 on $200 is 50% return on your money in 1 month. Okay, extrapolate that to 12 months. That's 600% per year. When you invest in the bank, how much do they give you? Less than 1%. Okay, and then you have to take all kinds of risks to try to get 15%. And here in business, you've already made, you know, do you understand how powerful business is? But there are certain constraints and realities. Number one, the hottest month is only like 1 month of the year. They can't do this in the winter, right? Number two, these kids have to go back to school. You know what I'm saying? You can only do this for 1 month. So business is very tricky, but it is the fastest and most powerful way of making money if you know how to do this, okay? And we're going to sort of explore some ways. One of the ways is to set up an operating company. Those of you who are employees, what's happening right now is your employer has created the environment, okay? You go there, you do the work, the employer keeps the profit. How about we get the employer out of the equation? We create the environment, you've got the experience, you've got the knowledge, you do the work, you keep the profit. For some people it's doable, for some professions it's doable, some it's not, okay? But when it is, we want to look at it, right? If that's not possible, how about looking at a franchise? Buy a system, buy a name. When I go to Tim Hortons, I don't care who the owners are. I'm buying a name, a system. Okay, it's a trusted system, trusted name, and I'm buying into that, right? But that'll cost money. If that's not possible, we'll talk about network marketing. The problem with network marketing is, it's a lot of hype around it. It's finding the right one. When we do that, what we're shooting for is a 50% return, again higher. Notice something that's happened here. As we go down, the returns of investments are increasing, okay? So it's increasing because the risks are increasing. This stock market investment, which we're going to do today, okay, you can get in and out in 8 seconds because we're going to do this online, okay? 8 seconds, hit a button, it moves to cash, hit a button, cash moves out, you bought a stock. 8 seconds. When you've got real estate, it could take time. It could take up to 6 months to sell real estate, right? To get rid of your real estate. When you're in business, even worse. There's no MLS out there wanting to buy your business. It's very limited, your competitors might want to buy your business, so more limited, right? So increasing risk, decreasing liquidity, okay? Now, with that, we're going to take, with that, we're going to take a commercial. I'm going to show you a commercial break, and then we're going to take a 5-10 minute break, and then we'll come back and do today's core financial insight where we start going into these areas.